Noah is actually a term that was given as a biblical term. He was actually the very last of these pre-Diluvian kings of one of these original 5 cities of Sumer. Are we looking at the traces of a forgotten episode in human history? I think so. I think that's what's going on here. Would it be fair to say that there's an element of a rediscovery of technology from the past? I think it would be fair to say that, yes. Have you ever wondered about the legend of King Gilgamesh in the ancient city he ruled? Let's dive into a time machine and head back to around 2700 BCE, right into the heart of Mesopotamian civilization during what scholars call the early dynastic period. I would prefer to propose, and I have proposed, that what we're looking at is evidence of some kind of transfer of technology, that people came into that area who had other knowledge. This was an era when city-states were popping up all over Mesopotamia, marking some of the earliest complex societies in human history. And right there in the thick of it was Gilgamesh, a name that echoes through history not just as a king but as a figure of myth and epic tales. Gilgamesh's realm was none other than Uruk, a jewel among the Sumerian city-states, nestled in the fertile lands along the Euphrates River in what we now know as modern-day Iraq. This is a very neglected area of the world as far as deep and ancient archaeology goes. Picture this, a bustling urban center alive with the hum of marketplaces, the grandeur of massive temple complexes, and the imposing presence of the legendary wall, said to be built by Gilgamesh himself. It's interesting that the patterns are geometrical. Someone made it, and it involved a very large amount of organized labor. In order to make it, there had to be the will and the intent to do that. During his reign, Gilgamesh would have been the linchpin in the city's governance, overseeing administrative decisions, religious practices, and military campaigns to safeguard Uruk's interests. His leadership likely saw the construction of monumental projects that not only enhanced the city's splendor but also its defenses, ensuring Uruk's prominence in the annals of ancient history. If we're only looking for a mere reflection of ourselves, we could overlook it completely. I think we're getting very close to rediscovering some of the things that our ancient ancestors were up to. Diving into the sands of time, the figure of King Gilgamesh stands as a fascinating blend of myth and reality, a character who has intrigued historians and archaeologists alike. While the line between the legendary and the historical is often blurred, there's a handful of archaeological breadcrumbs that lead us back to the possibility of Gilgamesh's actual existence in ancient Mesopotamian civilizations. First off, let's talk about the Sumerian king list. This isn't your average historical document, it's more like a mashup of history and mythology, listing rulers of Sumer and their reign lengths. What's cool about this list is that our guy Gilgamesh makes an appearance. His name popping up among other rulers gives us a hint that maybe, just maybe, he was a real figure who ruled and wasn't just a character in ancient bedtime stories. The fact that there are several versions of this list found in different places and from various times shows that keeping track of their leaders was pretty important to the Sumerians and that Gilgamesh was a significant part of that record. Then there are the inscriptions and artifacts. Imagine finding a tablet or a cylinder seal with Gilgamesh's name carved into it. These bits and pieces don't give us the full picture of his reign but do suggest he was recognized as a king. These items, scattered across ancient Sumerian sites like breadcrumbs, hint at the long-lasting memory of Gilgamesh, underlining his status not just as a myth but as a cultural icon. But here's where it gets tricky. Trying to separate the man from the myth in Gilgamesh's story is like trying to untangle a finely knotted rope. The archaeological evidence we have doesn't lay out his life story or list his achievements in detail. Instead, it teases us with glimpses, leaving us wondering about the reality of his reign. This scarcity of clear-cut historical records makes Gilgamesh an enigmatic figure, shrouded in the mists of time. Despite these challenges, the evidence we do have is precious. It bridges the gap between legend and history, suggesting that Gilgamesh might have been more than just a character in an epic tale. Diving into the ancient world, let's explore one of the oldest stories ever told, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Picture this, clay tablets etched with cuneiform, the very first writing system cooked up by the ingenious Sumerians. This epic isn't just a tale, it's a journey back to the 3rd dynasty of Ur, around 2100 BCE, though its roots stretch back even further through earlier Sumerian poems about our hero, Gilgamesh. Now, onto Gilgamesh himself. This guy was not your average ancient king. Described as 2/3 god and 1/3 human, he was a force to be reckoned with. His divine lineage gave him superhuman strength and courage, setting him leagues apart from mere mortals and even other mythical heroes. The epic's narrative is a roller coaster of adventures and quests, showcasing Gilgamesh's thirst for glory and eternal fame. Take his trek to the cedar forest to defeat Humbaba, for example. It's the stuff of legends, a clear display of his heroism. Yet, it's the death of his friend Enkidu that turns his world upside down, launching him on a quest for immortality and leading him to confront the harsh truth of human mortality. Speaking of Enkidu, his friendship with Gilgamesh is nothing short of transformative. Enkidu, created by the gods from the wild to temper Gilgamesh's arrogance, ends up becoming his soulmate. Their bond is a powerful narrative force, illustrating how deep connections can foster personal growth and lead to profound realizations about life and oneself. At its core, the Epic of Gilgamesh is rich with themes that resonate deeply with the human experience. It's a tale of the relentless search for fame and the universal quest for immortality, only to find that death is an inescapable part of life. The story underscores the importance of friendship and how it shapes our journey toward understanding and accepting our humanity. In the whirlwind adventure that is the Epic of Gilgamesh, we're treated to some of the most captivating encounters between the mortal and the divine you'll find anywhere in ancient literature. Gilgamesh's quest is not just a tale of heroism and the search for eternal life, it's a deep dive into the complex dance between gods and humans in Mesopotamian culture. Take, for instance, Gilgamesh's meeting with Utnapishtim, the ancient world's version of Noah. Imagine sitting down with someone who survived a world-ending flood, all because a god gave him the heads-up to build a boat. This isn't just an incredible survival story, it's a pivotal moment for Gilgamesh. He's on a quest for immortality, and here's Utnapishtim, living proof that the gods can grant such a wish. The story of the Great Flood, where the gods decide to reboot humanity but spare Utnapishtim, mirrors the power the Anunnaki wield in Mesopotamian myths, making life and death decisions over humanity's fate. Gilgamesh's journey is peppered with divine interactions that really make you think about the ancient Mesopotamian view of the cosmos. There's Enkidu, Gilgamesh's partner in crime, who was literally made by a goddess because the gods felt Gilgamesh needed to tone it down a bit. Then there's Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, who doesn't take rejection well. After Gilgamesh turns her down, she sends a celestial bull to wreak havoc as payback. And let's not forget about the fearsome guardian of the cedar forest, appointed by the god Enlil. Gilgamesh and Enkidu's battle with isn't just an epic fight scene, it's a narrative about human ambition clashing with divine intent. Throughout his quests, Gilgamesh keeps in touch with the sun god Shamash, who's like a divine mentor, offering guidance and support. It's fascinating to see this godly figure taking an active interest in Gilgamesh's